Welcome to your 12-minute HR lesson. Today, I'm going to misquote Schrodinger's cat, something that is already generally misquoted. I'm going to explain to you how we change things when we engage with them, or so the idea goes. And I'm going to show you how this applies to people from outside of our organization that come in and influence conflict situations. Curious? Let's go. In addition to these podcasts, we also publish articles. So you can find those on our website, pragmatichrm.nz. And I keep an eye on the viewing stats of those. I keep an eye to see what's most popular. What do people find most interesting? What do we get comments on? Because there is a feedback, there is a survey. So I'm always curious to see what resonates with people the most. And one of the topics, and it's one of the areas we did 2 articles in, there's a double header if you like, and that is the question of representatives. And the point made, and the point that people seem to engage with, is the idea they could go either way. There are 2 states, there are 2 versions, and before you start that meeting, you don't know who's turning up. So prior to that moment, there are 2 potential options existing simultaneously. And if you're going to think in those terms, it's really easy to start talking about Schrodinger's cat. So let's talk about Schrodinger's cat. The original article is a thought experiment put forward by an Austrian physicist, Erwin Schrodinger, back in 1935. This was when they were really starting to get their head around quantum mechanics. Now, if you haven't got your head around quantum mechanics, you are in 100% of the population after you round it up. It is extremely complex, extremely abstract. And I'm not going to say that I get it either. I have the vaguest understandings, but mostly I know what I don't know. The thought experiment that he proposed went like this. Imagine there's a box. In that box, there is a cat. Also in the box is a radioactive atom that may or may not decay, and a Geiger counter plus a flask of poison. Essentially, there is a trigger, and there is a poison trap, and there is a cat. If the trigger goes off, the cat will die, and the trigger will go off simply because a thing is or is not. The atom decays or it does not. It may be radioactive or it may not be radioactive. And it's either or. There's no in between. And the cat will either be alive or it will be dead. Until you go and you observe it, it is both alive and dead simultaneously until you go and open the box. And that's how maths and quantum mechanics worked. That it would suppose something is both and is not simultaneously. And Schrodinger's thought experiment was a rebuttal directly to this concept, this idea that the maths would accept equally the proposition of something being or not being. He was refuting the proposition that was being forward at the time in quantum mechanics of the idea of the superposition, to which he was saying, how could a thing be both alive and dead until such time as we look at it? It is either dead or it is alive in the box. It is not equally alive and equally dead until we look. It is either alive or it is dead, and when we look, we only find out. We do not determine whether or not it is or it is not. Of all the work that Schrodinger did in his life as an eminent physicist, it's remarkable that one thing he probably thought of in an offhand manner in 1934 without really paying much attention to it is the thing for which he would become so famous and so well known. I suspect may irk him, or it may not. I'd have to go ask him. What the Schrodinger cat thought experiment has come to mean in pop culture, in our common understanding, is the concept that something can be simultaneously A or B until such time as it's observed. That's kind of what we take away from it, despite the fact that he was saying that actually doesn't make sense, that's the idea that until such time as we look, until such time as we interact with it, it is both states simultaneously. That's where our imagination is caught on Schrodinger's cat. Quick interruption for our ad for our services. At Pragmatic HRM, we are primarily an HR training organization. Like these podcasts that are trying to just give you ideas to make you smarter, to make you wiser, to give you a deeper understanding of the situations that you find yourself in, our training courses are also designed that way, helping you be smarter, wiser, deeper in your thinking, rather than just reactive to what's in front of you. To give an example, we have a number of courses on how to run disciplinary meetings, how to deal with complex people problems. Primarily, our training courses are done through webinars. We have regular webinars in which you can attend live and go through the training course, or alternatively, if the timing doesn't suit you, you can access them recorded on demand at your convenience and also at a lower price. If you do a whole series, you get a free one-on-one online training session as well, just to help you put these things together. Have a look at our website, pragmatichrm.nz, for all of our different courses, all of our different ways in which we can help. So how does this apply? Can I bring this back to representatives? What we're talking about specifically is a support person or a representative or someone that an employee brings from outside of the company. And what's interesting is that they are now a factor outside of our control. And simply, they are either going to be a problem, or they're either going to help, they're either going to get in the way, or they are going to become a positive influence. You're probably assuming that they're going to be negative, but there's also been circumstances in which they've been positive. Someone can be highly disruptive. They can argue the point. They can really get in the way. They can stop us talking to the person. They can escalate things legally with threats of legal action without us actually getting anywhere, or they could really intimidate the manager that we're supporting. Alternatively, they could take on a very conciliatory approach. They could help explain it to the person. They can help them extend olive branches. They can agree with us in the meeting and say, yeah, no, that was a really silly idea. They can talk to the person and guide them to a sensible course of action. So we don't know who these people are. You might find out beforehand, but you might find out on the day who's turning up, who they're bringing. Until that point, you don't know, are they going to be positive or are they going to be negative? So, but here's the interesting thing. This is the concept of the Schrodinger's cat that I want to get across to you. How we approach them is not only us discovering who they are, but also influences which way they go. We're talking union reps, union delegates, union organizers, advocates, lawyers, people who, when we are in conflict, can be drawn into that discussion. We don't know who they are and what they think until such time as we walk into that situation. Until that point of contact, we don't know their mindset. Their mindset will be, to some extent, pre-established. They could be your classic ambulance chaser. They could be your classic hyper-defensive mother, hyper-defensive brother. They could be a very ideological union representative who sees you as the enemy regardless of the situation, what the person has done, or what is really going on. That's one thing. We can't control what they think prior. But this also goes both ways. Both parties walk into that situation, don't know what the other thinks, and will adjust accordingly. The question of Schrodinger's cat is, do we impart reality on the cat when we see it? Do we set in motion the attitude or response of that representative once we engage? Do they become more adversarial? Do they become more cooperative or productive? depending on how we engage with them. Here's the short takeaway. Think about that first point of contact a lot. If you have a preference for how you want this representative to act, and you have a concern about how they might act, give your preferred mindset every opportunity to come forward. How you engage with them, how you email them, how you talk to them, how you call them, in the same way that you are picking up a lot of early clues from them. What do they think? How are they going to go about this? They're doing the same to you. If you want them to engage with you in a constructive way, with mutual respect, give them every reason to think that. And if you're concerned that they're going to see you as adversarial and dismissive and disrespectful, and you're going to railroad over the situation, do everything you can to avoid that mindset. In short, there's two things that are going to happen. You're going to find out what this person really thinks, and they are going to react to how you approach them. You can't change one, but you can influence the other. Sometimes with these podcasts, I'm inclined to go away and listen to a song that I'm talking about. In this case, it's useful for you to go back and read some of the articles that we post. On our website, we've got about 70 articles at the moment, giving different ideas and addressing different topics. Very similar to this podcast, less intensive. It's easier for people to go and read an article than it is to sit down and make a whole point of listening to a podcast. So we do both, and the articles are there to be just a little bit more accessible, a little bit more approachable. But as always, thank you for listening. Please have a look for our articles on pragmatichrm.nz, but also there's our services and our courses, so have a look at those as well. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time.